Hey everybody, it's Jonny Bowden, and today I want to talk about the question of why there is so much confusion about COVID-19. So many stories, so many narratives, so many positions. Is it real? Is it not real? How real is it? How worried should we be? And we're hearing so many different interpretations. Why is that? And is it really so different than any other area of science? So I want to give you some perspective on this, because they will be analyzing this period in our history, I guarantee you, for decades. They will be looking at it economically, from the point of view of infectious diseases, from the point of view of public health and planning, from the point of view of the economy, from sociological points of view. How is it affecting different groups and in different ways? So there's a lot of different ways to look at this. In fact, it reminded me of when I was a Broadway conductor. When you get a show ready for Broadway, they have run-throughs, and they have all the creative people come down to the run-through to see what's good and what's bad and what has to be changed. So they'll have the director and the author, the writer, and if it's a musical, they'll have the composer and the orchestrator and the set designer and the costume designer, and they'll all look at the show, but they all see a different show. So at the end of the night, when they get their notes, you ask the prop man, how'd the show go? And he goes, no, the prop was in the wrong place in Act 2. And you ask the choreographer, and she said, well, you know, they didn't quite do the plies right. We got to go over that. Everybody saw it from their own angle. And that's kind of a little bit of what's happening here, because there's a lot of ways to look at this whole thing, a lot of different dimensions that are affected by it. And I want to give you another piece of data about why it's so confusing. When science is done, when a research study is done, it takes a long time. In some drug studies, they do 4 phases, and each one of them has to be approved, and they're very, very difficult. And then when they get published, they got to go through peer review, and it's usually about a year between the time that the study really gets underway and the time that it gets published. Well, The Economist magazine recently reported that in the last 3 months, get this, 7,000 studies have been published on COVID. Now, non-scientists don't realize this, but there's a lot of shitty research out there. There's a lot of research that you might say, well, there was published research that showed this, but it sucks. It's not good research, and it gets turned around, or it can't be duplicated, or it can't be replicated, and it ultimately falls into the dustbin, or it's contradicted by other research that comes out afterwards. So if that happens in the regular world, when we're not in an emergency, when they're kind of fast-tracking all this research and 7,000 studies come out in 3 months, can you imagine how much crap is being published right now? And it's not that these are bad people. It's not that they mean to. It's like we're trying to fix an airplane while we're in flight. You know, so people are kind of cutting corners. And lots of studies are coming out. Now, you add to that people have interest, they have narratives, they have a way that they're seeing this thing. So now you've got studies that will support just about any narrative. So people can go on one news station and report a narrative where, oh, this stuff is wildly exaggerated. And there's people who can go on another station and they've got the studies to prove it. And they say, no, it's not being exaggerated. You're not taking it seriously enough. So of course we're confused. And we're not scientists. Most of us are not scientists. We were not trained in research design, and we don't know how to evaluate all this stuff. So all we really have is the people who are interpreting it for us. And they all have a narrative. And sometimes that narrative is very different. So I tell you this so you have some perspective about the massive amount of data that's coming in, and how much time it's going to take to really sort all of that out. So I always, as in nutrition, I always go back to the basics and I ask myself, what does everybody agree on? And in nutrition, sometimes it really seems like people don't agree on anything, but they do. Most people agree that fruits and vegetables are good. In some amount, they should be in the diet, in some form. Practically nobody disagrees with that. Practically nobody disagrees with how bad sugar is for you. And that includes the keto crowd and the vegan crowd. I mean, that you can't get more opposite on the political or nutritional pole than vegan and keto, and yet they agree on that. Atkins people agree with vegetarians on how bad sugar is. So in any area, whether it be nutrition or COVID, we can always find some common ground, which is always a good place to start from. You start from a narrative where there's two sides and they're speaking over each other and neither is listening to the other. Nothing good ever comes of that. So, what do we all agree on? There's a virus. It's pretty serious. Nobody wants to get it. The number one way you get it is by touching your face. So, I think we can all agree, let's be safe. Let's use hand sanitizer. Let's keep a reasonable distance from one another, and let's wear face masks in public for now so that we don't give it to anybody else. Those are kind of basics we can all agree on. And let's start from there and not worry so much about which narrative is right and which protocol we should follow and whether it's more serious or less serious. Let's just follow the basic safety protocols and relax a little bit. Turn that damn CNN off, get off Facebook, stop reading all the horror stories, and understand this is a confusing time. It goes with the territory. It is confusing. It's not that you're stupid. It's not that you can't. It is confusing. So let's let it be the way it is. Let's be willing to live in uncertainty. That's a great step when you're trying to get emotional and spiritual development. Be willing to live with some uncertainties. There's a lot of uncertainties in life. This is going to be one of them. And let's hold on to what we know to be true and what we can all agree upon. Let's be safe, let's be smart, and let's not be crazy or make ourselves crazy. This is Jonny Bowden. I hope you like this. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and keep your questions and your feedback coming in because I love responding to them, and that's a great way that we can engage together. See you next time.